Let's now talk to our resident foreign policy expert, senior fellow and director of the Center for Peace and Security in the Middle East at the Hudson Institute, Michael Doran. Michael, huge week in foreign policy this week here. Now, Biden had a phone call with Benjamin Netanyahu, his first one since those 7 aid workers were killed in an Israeli airstrike on Monday. He warned that America's support for Israel now depends on whether Israel can limit civilian deaths and increase aid into Gaza. Is Joe Biden subtly cutting Israel loose here?
James, hi. Thanks for having me. Yes, I think that the Biden administration is now really trying to bring the war to an end in Gaza. It really wants the Israelis to enter into a ceasefire, and it would like to then extend that ceasefire to November. That's not exactly the language they're using, but if you start adding up all the different positions they're taking, it's clear that they want this war to come to an end.
Yeah, and this is coming out as they're talking about the potential invasion of Rafah into consideration. It's still unclear, though, whether the talks are going to push Israel into delaying or canceling the planned assault there. But clearly, it would seem to me that if they do have this ceasefire, well, they're only going to allow Hamas basically to win and regroup, won't they?
Well, that's just the thing. I mean, this is what the administration is effectively calling for, is a negotiated settlement to the war, whereas the Israelis are calling for unconditional surrender and complete destruction of Hamas. If the Israelis do not take Rafah, then Hamas will stay alive to fight another day. It will continue to control all of the passages from Egypt to the Gaza Strip. It will retain a stranglehold over the economy of Gaza, and it will have an effective veto power over the attempt to build any kind of new order in the Gaza Strip. So it's not just one city we're talking about. It's really the difference between victory by the Israelis, and I think then for the West and the United States, or victory for Hamas and Iran.
But does the West even have that will to win anymore at this point? Because it seems like what Israel's choice now is either defeat Hamas and achieve a true victory and have no support left in many Western capitals, or wind up doing what they say and then, dying a death by 1,000 cuts and terrorist attacks over the months, years, and decades to come.
Well, Biden is certainly maneuvering the Israelis into a very difficult position. The problem he has is that the overwhelming majority of Israelis, this is on the left, on the right, in the center, they want the complete destruction of Hamas. And even if the Americans succeed in making Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister's life so difficult that they have new elections and another prime minister comes in, let's say Benny Gantz, Gantz will be under the same pressure from the Israeli public to defeat Hamas.
Yeah, and where's the danger now of this wider regional conflagration we've been talking about after the Israeli airstrike on Iran's consulate in Syria, killing 2 of its top commanders? Now, the U.S. has dismissed accusations that it had any involvement, but are we definitely going to see some sort of massive Iranian retaliation here? Does this lead to a bigger threat of a conflagration in the region that then the U.S. winds up inevitably getting drawn into?
Well, I think that the Iranians have to respond and respond significantly. This is almost what the Israelis did in Damascus, the attack that they carried out, and the blow to Iran is almost as great as the Trump administration's elimination of Qasem Soleimani, and to which the Iranians responded quite significantly. Remember, and at least with a strike that will be very eye-catching. Exactly how they're going to do it is not clear to me, but they can't let this slide. They may wait a little bit, try to carry out some controlled escalations to identify Israeli vulnerabilities and then hit them. But there will be a response. I think we can count on that. And will it lead to a wider conflagration? It's not clear to me, but I think the way you framed it is correct. Israel is fighting on the front lines against the Iranian alliance system and is defending the American alliance system The United States is trying to position itself in some kind of mediation position somewhere, not exactly halfway between Israel and Tehran, but putting some distance between itself and Israel in order to try to negotiate a settlement. I think ultimately they have to realize that we're in for a penny or in for a pound with the Israelis.